Just off.
Come on, let's go. Time for some more Race to a Million.
Hi, and welcome to RaceToAMillion.ca. I'm Peter Cameron Inglis.
And I'm Dean Pearson. And I guess it's time to start talking about strategy.
Yes.
We've had a lot of people check out the website. We're up to what? How many unique country visits now?
Almost 9,000 unique visitors, and over 40 countries have now visited RaceToAMillion.ca.
And thanks for doing so. We hope you're going to keep coming back. Now, we know that you've had an opportunity to kind of meet the teams. But we also know that you're not just showing up to get introduced to these guys. You want some action. So that's what today is all about. We're talking about some of the strategies that are being employed by the teams. And Peter and I both knew going into this that the first investment cycle would probably prove to be the most challenging.
Definitely the hardest.
They've got $500, and like, what do you do with it?
You know what? It's going to be a very difficult thing. But what we're going to tell you about today is what some of these teams have come up with. Innovative strategies to try to get out of the gate and at least double their money.
That's kind of, you know, the rule of thumb. We've talked about it before. You got $500. If you double it every time you touch it, that takes 11 touches, and you're at $1 million. Of course, when you start getting into the tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, doubling it becomes a whole lot more challenging. But, you know, one step at a time, as they say. So what do you do with the first one? Let's let the viewers know what's going on as much as we can at this point. But before we talk about the specific strategies, we've had a lot of people get in touch with us and say, so when are we going to know specifically what they're doing and what the results of those things were? And we're kind of in the midst of our first investment cycle right now. It'll be ending at the end of Sunday of the Labor Day long weekend here in North
September
America.
5th for those of you outside of Canada.
And at that point, so our plan is, correct me if I'm wrong, and I very well may be, at the end of every 3-week cycle, boom, we lay it all out there. Here's what the teams did specifically and what the results of those efforts were.
That's right, Dean. If something happens that changes the bankroll for any particular team, of course, we're going to update it right away as soon as the money's in the bank. But you can look forward to knowing that the leaderboard on the website is going to be updated at least once every 3 weeks.
And yeah, and you know, I've had my wife and others have kind of said, you know, I'm kind of keeping an eye on the leaderboard. It hasn't moved yet. Well, that's because we haven't had any official documented money turned in, but we were kind of talking about it before we rolled tape here today, and decided that, you know, as soon as the money is turned in, we will make a real-time, or as close to real-time, update of the leaderboard as we can. So you don't have to wait 3 weeks to see who's in the lead. And I think there's a couple of teams that have put themselves in a position to take that first investment cycle lead. And one of them is going to be Team Alpha.
Absolutely, Dean. So Team Alpha, this weekend, coming up, they are traveling up to Prince George. That's a 6-hour drive from Kamloops.
Yeah, we talked about how, you know, when I say we, the teams want to get to a point where the money can do the work, right? But to get things going, they're going to have to do some work. And Team Alpha, Andrew Challenger, got in touch with a friend of his who, unfortunately for the team, lives in Prince George, a long way away, who's got a huge yard that he needs cleared.
And his wife's been telling him, get it cleared.
Get her done.
Get it done. And he hasn't had the time.
So he got in touch with Andrew, and Andrew was talking about the contest. He says, well, why don't you guys come up, clear my yard? It's like what, half acre, third acre?
Yeah, it's something like a half acre, and they've got to pull up all the weeds, they've got to till all the land, they've got to lay all the sod, and they've got to set up a full fence on the backyard.
Yeah, so post holes dug, you know, the land cleared, and their goal is to the financial transaction portion of this will be fuel there and back.
Yep.
They have to pay for it because nobody in this contest can take any financial risk themselves, so they got to play with house money to get to PG and back. So that will be their investment, and then the payout will obviously be what their friend is going to pay them. And without getting too specific, what's kind of their goal?
I think they're hoping to take that $500 and parlay it into $1,500.
So a tripling of their initial investment minus the cost of gas. So, you know, that's not a bad start, right?
Yeah, and of course we're going to try to get up there with them and not do any work. We're just going to sit around and film as much of it as possible so that you can see how much they're sweating.
Yeah, and we'll be in charge of handing them cold beers during the breaks too.
So Team Matrix, Dean, I know that you've spoken with them this week, and I understand they're actually going to be going down to a flea market.
Yeah, again, what do you do with that first $500? Well, most of the teams have come to the realization that it's going to take a little time, effort, and energy in order to make a positive forward step with their money. So again, remembering that every financial transaction in the race to $1 million must leave a financial footprint. The Team Matrix crew have essentially gone through their garages and all that other stuff, and they've made a list, itemized list of what they have to sell at the flea market, and they are selling it to the team for a nominal fee, like $1 or whatever it happens to be. And so there's the transaction, right? Goods offered for sale. Bang. Okay, we bought it for $1. Then they're going to go to the flea market. Of course, an investment of purchasing the table at the flea market.
And how much does that cost?
I don't know. It's like $4, $5, something like that. And they're going to get a couple of them and sell all their wares. And we'll know in the next couple of days how successful.
So how much are they hoping to parlay their bank account up to for this cycle?
Well,
I mean, a flea market. Come on.
The reality is, like, we're coming into like canning season here in British Columbia, and I guess anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere, and they got a whole whack of canning jars. And Peter Grauer, one of the Team Matrix guys, was saying that he went to this flea market, and this guy was selling like literally truckloads of canning jars. So that was just one example of some of the things that they're going to be selling. And I think the potential, depending on what they get, I don't know, another $400 or $500 after their first weekend's efforts.
So possibly doubling their money again.
And when you look at, you know, what we're doing, talking about the ratios, when you look at an investment of like $1 for all the stuff and $4 for the table, really, exponentially speaking, they've got a fantastic return.
It's excellent return on investment.
But if they can get up to like $1,000, that old model of doubling it every time you touch it, I think Matrix is on board. But I guess it all depends how many people are at the flea market and how good the stuff is they have to sell.
Okay, so that is their short-term investment, and I understand, Dean, that they're starting up a longer-term, or they've started up a longer-term investment strategy.
Right.
With setting up a website, and they're looking for advertisers.
And their website is up and running, matrix.ca, teammatrix.ca, and they're looking for some advertising partners. So have a look. Very unique group of individuals in this Team Matrix. If you like writing, if you like high-tech stuff, there might be some real symmetry there with you and Team Matrix. So please check out their site. They're looking for some advertiser sponsors, and advertising just happens to be the way that our next team is going as well. And boy, I tell you, Team TRU has got some real good things cooking.
Okay, so Team TRU, I understand that they've started up a marketing company.
That's kind of the long-term strategy that they're using. Their website is teamtru.ca. Of course, you can get to all of the team's websites that are established through racetoamillion.ca, but if you want to go straight there, teamtru.ca. Had just a fascinating conversation with Matthew Mazzillo from Team TRU, and he is, as they say, putting the pieces in place so that the next steps of the Thompson Rivers University plan can come to fruition to the level that they hope it is. They have some very exciting plans. Might be good of us to let the other teams know that TRU is not messing around. They got some serious stuff going on. They've already got, what, $2,500 in the bank. We're going to be depositing that on their behalf probably right after we finish shooting this segment. And by the end of the first investment cycle, they plan on being at about the $5,000 mark, simply as a result of advertisers on their website, teamtru.ca. They're going to have a total of 10. They have very clear targets of the business sectors that they want to approach to get involved with this, and they're really looking to get the community on board. Team Thompson Rivers University has got weekly Team TRU Tuesday updates on one of the local FM radio stations. And what they're looking for and what they asked us to relate to you is Kamloopsians, that's people from Kamloops. They're looking for community support. They want to become the favorite team of the city of Kamloops. So watch out for Thompson Rivers University. And I'm so inspired and excited by some of the plans that Matthew shared with us yesterday. I wish we could tell you about them, But take it from us, you're going to want to keep an eye on this group of young, innovative professionals of the future, along with the help of course, some faculty and alumni.
I will say this, though. I'm absolutely amazed at their planning and their foresight. I mean, at this point, they think that they've got about the first 7 cycles
5 to
already
7
planned out.
You know that we go in 3-week cycles for short-term investments, and they've already planned it out 5 to 7 cycles.
Now,
ahead.
it doesn't mean that they fleshed out all the details,
Right.
but they've figured out what they sort of want to do in a 30,000-foot view for each individual cycle for the next 5 to 7 cycles. And I think that's pretty amazing. And I love their slogan as well.
Yeah,
it's fresh approach to business.
A fresh approach to business. And with the youthful exuberance and energy that they're showing, I mean, these advertisers are jumping on board with them. They're reaching out and really taking advantage of social media and traditional media to get in touch with the community. And I tell you, Matt says, hey, all the university students that are watching this on YouTube and elsewhere, start following and supporting Team Thompson Rivers University, because they are on a mission for post-secondary students. They want to show the world that they're for real, that they're serious, and I can tell you that their initial investment strategies certainly prove it to me. But as you know, in a race that counts dollars and cents, it'll all come down to the dollars and cents at the end of the day. And you can talk about good things that you have going on, but the proof is, as they say, in the pudding.
You know, I hate to say it, but in
Well, then don't.